part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Worldwide. You're listening to the Krypton Report.
Krypton Report podcast, now part of the Press Play Podcast Network. We are dedicated to all things related to DC Comics with a strong focus on Superman and all things Kryptonian. We discuss movies, TV shows, games, and of course, comics. I'm your host, Tyler, the Superman of Blue, the Man of Tomorrow, the exhausted father of two, and with me is my co-host, the better looking of the two of us, Mr. James Cole.
Well, thank you. Father of two, huh?
Yeah, I had to throw that in there just because my two are like crazy. Like they're about. I would not be surprised if in a second they just yelled "Wonder Twins activate" and then turned into like Bebop and Rocksteady for some weird reason.
I mean, I heard them when we first jumped on here before we started recording.
I mean, I know it's like spring break.
Came in, sounded like they were wiling out.
You'd think like I fed them a bowl of sugar with some crack. Jesus, help us. Woo, it's Easter, so Jesus help me. All right. Yeah, so how you been, buddy?
All right. Today went by fast.
Yeah, it did. It's weird. Like this week, we're on spring break. And today was technically the first day of the kids' spring break. They have a real short spring break. So it's weird because I've had these 3 days of what I had hoped to be to myself, but they weren't. They were filled with lovely, fun, not fun activities. We won't go down that rabbit hole. But the kids have been good. But like the whole day I had to keep telling myself, it's not Saturday. It's not Saturday. Actually, their first day was yesterday. See, that's how out of it is. I don't even know what day it is. Are we recording a podcast or just talking?
I think we're recording.
Sounds about right.
That's what it is. Yeah, we're recording.
It's just been that crazy. So I have to keep telling myself, I have to be up to that Easter egg hunt to go to. Anyways, that's how I'll see. I don't even know what day it is. We are going to talk about some comics because we are behind on our comics. And I reached out a person on Twitter, messaged me, and he had just stated about I'm gonna send him our direct message because I told him that we talk comics, but of course I tell him that, but then I get sick with the flu, and we've been trying to catch up, and then we've had Superman and Lois, and then this week there is no Superman and Lois, so we can finally catch up with comics because this was supposed to be slated a while back, and I hate being sick because it threw everything off, and it sucks. So, without further ado, let's get into some news so we can talk about things that are fun, like Discovery. So, Discovery bought Warner from AT&T?
I believe that is...
It's been kind of confusing what exactly, if they were buying them or if it was a merger, because when I think of like Discovery, I don't think of them being a big player, but was it a merger? I don't know. All I know is that
it was a merger, yes.
All I know is that Warner, and more specifically DC, is under new management, and I guess they're going to clean some house. There's been a lot of speculation come out, but one thing that the new powers that be have stated is that there's been some prominent characters that have been sidelined and not treated well, one being Superman. So
yeah, the first one they named, which is kind of an exciting prospect.
It is. And then what does this all mean? I mean, I don't know. Like, honestly, it's a lot of there's a lot of wheels turning.
Yeah.
Like we had talked about last time, and then we got a little bit more news is that it looks like they are pushing forward with getting Wonder Woman 3 off the ground and done sooner than later, with the chance of starting to film this year. Which doesn't really surprise me because, like you and I have speculated, Patty Jenkins needs this, and they need to get Gal before she's done. So, I mean, but a new Superman project. All I can say is, of course, we want Henry. All right, I mean that's a duh. We want to give him his due. The other thing is, they're supposed to be getting a first draft of, I can't remember how to pronounce correctly the writer's name, but we'll just call it the J.J. Abrams produced Superman project that we aren't exactly 100% sure what it is. So
yeah, there's been nothing on that front for a long time. I mean, basically what it seemed like is, they probably feel, as many of us do, that, it's been a mess with decision making, especially regarding this brand. And I think that they want such a large and mineable IP to actually, work together to get this content out there. And, hopefully that means, projects like, absolutely, hopefully another Henry Cavill Superman. I absolutely think that if another director wanted to come in with a good Superman story and Henry was about it, that, it would be a great film.
I mean, they could maybe look at revisiting with new leadership the Christopher McQuarrie.
Yeah, because him and Henry were both pushing for something. They said they had an idea.
And I mean, and as much as I love the restore the Snyderverse idea, like at the same time, I'm kind of done with it because the fandom has become so toxic and hateful and negative to everything. And in the same breath, like, yes, I want Zach to do his thing.
I think in the vein of that, I think the toxicity just comes from both sides. You know what I mean? There's a certain amount of it in the the fandom, but I think a large part of it is actually the people who attack the fandom just for enjoying Snyder's films.
I know. It's
so
Snyder's moving on. But with the new management, all things are possible. Give us the Air cut now. I think that'd be smart. It's kind of a why not. So it's a hopeful thing. The other big point was this is what I think is interesting. Okay, was when they launched Titans. It was supposed to be the first DC produced DC studio type project. And now it looks like they're looking at doing their own studio with their own kind of Kevin Feige type thing, where it looks like, I don't want to say they're going to copy Marvel even more, but it looks like they're like, look, we've tried to do it this way and it's not exactly working out. So we're going to do it this way.
Yeah. So I don't know what the right answer is. I definitely think that somebody who can get the groups working, the different facets of, shows, movies, I think they want it to just be more harmonious and maybe more cohesive. That way they can actually build something.
And I agree. I mean, we also have the whole, the CW was up for sale or whatever. And in some regards, I'm just kind of like, I want to get all my DC under one umbrella. Okay. I want Smallville on HBO Max off of Hulu. I want Gotham off network and put on HBO Max, or off Netflix, put on HBO Max. So it's, it's this idea that I want all my DC in one place. There's still a few out there that I'm like, hey, where you at?
Right. I want to see DC projects, movies on the big screen, shows that are streaming, movies that go to streaming coming from like a DC Studios.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
people who are working specifically on trying to make the best products they can on this specific IP.
Right.
You know, not people who are trying to just think what's going to make them the most.
Or people who are just
it's obviously that, but you know, some people who are trying to do that with this specifically, not just everything they can.
Right. So it's exciting, just to see what happens and where we're going. So, I mean, you know me, I'm always optimistic, enthusiasm.
Yeah, you know, I think it's a good idea, you know, to make things a little more cohesive when it comes to an overall world.
I mean, yeah. We have the multiverse, but at the same time, it's still a lot to try to keep up with.
Yeah. I mean, I think the multiverse is absolutely necessary so we can get some more of these original projects.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying, like, it's just a lot to take in sometimes, even for people like us. Like, and speaking of multiverse, I'm really surprised that we haven't got an announcement for The Batman 2. It's kind of feels like it should be a duh, but it is weird that we haven't got an official announcement. Now with the new management, maybe we will be getting it.
I mean, it made over $700 million worldwide so far. I don't have a total, but I know fans
and critics. So, yeah, why not? Speaking of Batman, though, we got our first look of Michael Keaton in his new Batsuit.
We did, yes.
Let me pull this sucker up here. It's the most bland, like, it's him. It's his suit. Because we've seen it. It's the most, like, bland reveal photo ever. And I was trying to figure out, is it a leak? It looks almost like it's an ad for a cardboard cutout. Like I need to order.
Right.
But it's the best look of the new suit. And it looks kind of like the next evolution in from where the 89 to returns to what the next suit would be. Because it doesn't really take a lot from like modern suit making. So it really does look like the next evolution in his bat suit.
I mean, yeah, it looks like it does look like that. I mean, it looks more armored in certain respects. It absolutely looks like a Keaton batsuit. And bland, yeah. I mean, it's just the black suit on a white background. I thought the same thing. I was like, wow, like that's really the first official image.
Yeah, I was like, did it leak?
I was like, what is this? I don't even know. It's hard to. I always say whatever the suit looks like in these photos. You know, you have to see it in the movie.
Well, usually, like, I mean, like, how many times did, for the longest time, the first like official release photo for like the CW characters and suits sucked. Like the first time we saw the Flash, the photo was horrible. And then we got the behind the scenes. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Supergirl's horrible. Then we got like to actually see it. And I was like, oh, cool. Arrows was okay. Superman, the first time they showed Tyler Hoechlin's Superman, looks like he just walked in off the street, put on the suit, and got in front of a green screen. Like, and he was still like half asleep. But then when I saw him actually like in the footage, I was like, awesome, you know? And this just looks like Keaton's like in a daze, but it looks like a Keaton batsuit. The belt is black, which looks a little bit more like Batman Forever-ish. The gauntlets are a little bit more pronounced. kind of Batman Begins-ish, but still, molded to look more like his boots are actual boots now and not just covers over Nikes. But they still look like the same kind of Nike boot things, but just a full boot. So, I mean, it looks cool. Like, I'm game. It works,
I mean, it looks like Keaton's Batman to me, which I'm excited to see when we get the Flash next year.
Yeah, now next year.
Please, good God, do not let them push it back again.
Just release it on HBO Max already. Yeah. Here's what you do. Drop it on HBO Max, even with the effects not done, and then finish the effects and release it in theaters. And then I think that's all the news. Yeah. I mean, it was a big news, but it just wasn't a lot, but it was big.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing that came up, which I just saw earlier, grabbing it real quick, is KJ Apa and Isabel May have been cast in DC's The Wonder Twins film for HBO Max.
I gotta check. I didn't get to check her out. Of course, he's Archie on Riverdale.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So, but her, I feel like I've seen her somewhere.
She looks familiar, but I cannot place it.
Let's go to my trusty. Wow. She was born November 21st, 2000.
Oh my goodness.
She played Veronica on Young Sheldon. She's on that show 1883, which now I might have to watch an episode just to see her act. But why? I don't care that much about the Wonder Twins. And that's.
I mean, if it comes out on HBO Max, I mean, I'm more likely to watch it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna run to the theater to see the Wonder Twins.
Yeah, I've yet to watch Aquaman, the King of Atlantis.
Oh,
that animated show.
We started it. The kids were kind of interested. We started it, and then they kind of lost interest, and I didn't push it. So yeah, there you go.
we started it, and the kids did not like what they were seeing, and they left within minutes, and we sat here and watched it for a few more minutes and was like, this is kind of terrible.
Yeah, it's not even like bad. Like, it's just bad. So yeah, I'm you know me, I'll take any DC property thing and
I gotta finish it though. I gotta say, I gotta suffer through it before I can make a real statement on it.
That's how I feel about I gotta finish season 3 of Batwoman. So that's kind of yeah, that's how I feel.
You know, that was kind of interesting. We're actually watching season 3 of Batwoman on HBO Max, and it's kind of interesting the way that they used the Rogues Gallery's weapons to kind of
season 3
a Batman style threat. Not exactly the villains, but something similar.
Yes. Okay. That's only 3 years. I was looking at something here. KJ here was born in 1997. So that's 3 years difference. So if they're going to be twins, they got to at least be close in age.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was cool stuff too, the way they do the Rogues Gallery stuff. And I'll finish it. I just really haven't had the time. Hey, we're going to press pause and hear a few words from our other podcasts on Press Play Podcast Network.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us, and then listen in.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.
Remember to check out Krypton Report on all social media platforms. Go to linktree.com/Krypton Report. You find all of our information right there. If you want to help Krypton from exploding, join our $1 a month Patreon. That's right. For $1 a month, you can be a Patreon member and get exclusive extra bonus content of commentaries from our different DC movies, as well as conversations on anything that we feel like. Could be current events, could be current movies, usually it's current movies, or just a good old-fashioned chat. Check it out. Patreon.com/Krypton Report.
To do anything. But let's get into some comics because we got a lot to tackle. James, before we start, what comics have you been reading that we're not going to talk about today? Just give us a rundown. And if you don't know give me that rundown, Jim.
Well, like the biggest things I read recently was The War for Earth 3, which included the Suicide Squad book, the Flash book, and the Teen Titans Academy book, and then 2 of their own. So it was just 5 issues of The War for Earth 3, which was a build-up. I mean, basically since Future State Suicide Squad, which was really cool. You know, you followed Connor, which actually turned out to be Match, not Superboy Connor Kent. So that was a little twist they had. And Amanda Waller has gone to the lengths of, she basically has given up on like the main Earth, right? Earth Zero.
Yep.
So she's basically given up on that. Like, the heroes won't let her save the world, basically, is how she feels. So she decides to, she breaks every law. She's being hunted. She's actually a criminal. You know, she's wanted by the government and everything. Rick Flag has turned against her. He kind of runs his own Suicide Squad.
Of course he should.
Yes. He finally goes against her, and he runs his own Suicide Squad against her, trying to stop her. But her idea is to go to Earth 3 and connive and manipulate her way into shielding off Earth 3, cutting off Earth 3 from the rest of the multiverse, so she can have peace by basically any means necessary. And she has her own Suicide Squad, and in the end, she's pretty much successful in her job, and she gets rid of Ultraman, and she has her own. I'm trying to think it's not a Suicide Squad, it's her own Justice League. There was a name they had in Future State for her Justice League that I can't remember, but it's the John Stewart of that Earth, the Power Ring. There is a Brainiac-infused Etrigan.
Ooh.
Yeah, from another Earth. So some of these characters are from other Earths. She has Superwoman, which is Donna Troy on Earth 3. Nocturna, a Black Canary from another Earth. Maybe Black Siren from another Earth. And then Johnny Quick, and then there's Match as the Superman. And he's actually got an all-black suit with a red S that's backwards. Pretty cool last page. I'll actually have to share it with you. So, yeah, War for Earth 3 was interesting.
Yeah.
So it actually says never the end. So I doubt that's the last we're going to see of Amanda Waller in Earth 3.
That's intense. Yeah, I haven't got to read as much as I want to. Like, of course, I've been reading Batman 89, and then I finished the Batman and Big B thing. The one I will tell you that's been interesting, and I got to pick up issue 2 is like Batman Killing Time, I think it is called. Like, I read.
Isn't that one of the Black Label books they came out with? No,
it's not. It's just a regular. It's a 6-issue run, and that's kind of when I saw it. It was like this special, just 6 issues. Okay, 6 issue. All right, I'll do it. You know, because I'm still reading the Batman Catwoman, but God, that thing's been stretched out for so long. Whenever I told the guy at the shop, I'm like, whenever it's done, I have to reread the whole thing to understand what's going on. Because the newest issue just came out, and it's like the one book I never keep track of because they just randomly drop the issue.
Yeah, I have it in my library on DC Universe. I haven't started it yet.
And that's what's crazy is it should have already been done, but it's like another doomsday clock. But let's get into some comics with our main man, Superman.
Did you? Well, real quick.
Nope.
The only other thing that I read was Flashpoint Beyond.
Oh yeah, you told me you were going to talk about this.
I was going to say, are you interested to hear about that?
Yes, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. You can't see me, but I am. Bring it
on. The last time we actually saw Thomas Wayne's Batman was in Justice League Incarnate.
I haven't kept up with Thomas Wayne's Batman since Convergence.
Well, I know he was in Tom King's run, and this is actually the same Thomas Wayne from Tom King's run, where in Tom King's run, Thomas tried to force Bruce from being Batman, and in doing so, he made really bad decisions. Like, he joined Bane. He was part of the reason Bane was able to take over for the city of Bane. Story there at the end of the run. He was doing everything he could, all bad crap, you know, to stop Bruce from being Batman. That's what he didn't want. His letter from Flashpoint was, you know, telling him not to be Batman. But the last time that we saw Thomas was in Justice League Incarnate, and the darkness, something beyond the omniverse. It's a power that Darkseid was trying to get a hold of. He actually wants to stop it because actually the darkness is like trying to wipe out everything, and he wants to control it because obviously if the darkness wipes out everything, he has nothing to conquer.
Right.
But Thomas had gotten infected with the darkness, and he died, like turned to ash almost, or whatever. He just disappeared. He got consumed by it. And then, so now Flashpoint Beyond opens up, and he's just alive on his world that shouldn't exist. Flashpoint shouldn't exist because the Flash changed it. He changed it back. And the reason Thomas exists is because Thawne pulled him out and made him a time aberration, just like Thawne. So that's why he exists outside of Flashpoint when he shouldn't. Kind of the interesting thing when this opens up, though, is he has a chalkboard, and there's a lot of things written on it. It says 5G averted. Remember that?
Nice. Which is funny because basically the future state was like a reworking of 5G, but
yeah,
that's neither here nor there, but it is.
Story irrevocably damaged. Beyond the Omniverse, what's beyond it, and to where? Fall of the Justice League, and it says rise of something, but Batman's blocking it. Why is Deathstroke not acting like Deathstroke? Imposter, question mark. beware, he'll find his son. Do not interfere. His daughter will rejoin Justice Society to save it. Who's hunting the time? So I think there's some questions there and something leading to like Dark Crisis. Because have you seen the image of the Deathstroke they have drawn that looks like the Nightmare Deathstroke?
Yeah.
Okay. But Thomas is actually with Mime and Marionette from Doomsday Clock.
Nice.
Yeah, and so this is kind of like a setup, because he actually gets Jenny Slater's wristwatch and the snow globe.
That's cool.
So anyway,
Manhattan reference.
Yeah. Well, Jeff Johns is actually writing Flashpoint Beyond.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh man, that maybe I have to read it now. Because I mean, even with the guy's issues, the guy knows how to write comics.
He knows how to write, and the Flashpoint world was pretty. It was a pretty cool idea, and all of the tie-ins, all of the issues they had that expanded the Flashpoint world. Those were pretty awesome. But Thomas wakes up and at this point he's about to be arrested by Judge Dent for the murder of Joe Chill.
All right.
There's an appearance by Martha as the Joker. She says, "You saved our son. You thought you saved our son?" ? No, Thomas. It was a dream. That's all. A wonderful little dream. And then her laugh as she walks off and disappears. The war that was in Flashpoint is still going on between the Atlanteans and the Amazons. The world, obviously, it was really bad in Flashpoint. So Sandman, Wesley Dodds, he actually has seen peace in this world, but he's just being thought of as his hallucinations, and he's crazy and everything.
Crazy for feeling so lonely.
Yeah. So they ask about they're asking about some of these people who are able to try and help, and they talk about the Kryptonian, Superman, talk about the CBI released hundreds of unredacted documents on the so-called terrorist attack that killed 35,000 men, women, and children in Metropolis 30 years ago, and that it was actually the Kryptonian ship. They've speculated it's only the beginning of an alien invasion. We must prepare for a Kryptonian invasion because I don't believe his planet blew up like some have claimed.
Interesting.
So, interesting fear of Superman in this world. It's definitely not the same Superman as before.
Interesting.
So later on you see that a speedster is kind of taunting Thomas. It's kind of like maybe it's Thawne, maybe it's not. He thinks it is. He has a dry erase board that was blank, and he turns back around and it says "Everything Matters," and he doesn't know who wrote it. He thinks Thawne's toying with him.
Interesting. All right, you sold me. I gotta go.
Yeah, and then there's actually a Barry Allen on this Earth, he's a CSI. He's late for everything. And Thomas actually goes looking for this Barry to try and tell him who he is, that he's the Flash, that he needs him to help save the world.
I like it.
And I mean, it's a twist, man. It do you want me to keep going?
No, I'm sold.
Or you wanna read it yourself?
I'm gonna go buy it. I gotta go to the comic book store tomorrow. So.
Okay. Because yeah, it's very interesting how it ends. Because he kidnaps Barry to make him the Flash. A Barry from that world.
All right. I'm in. Who else is in? Signs, hands. Everybody
Right.
hand? Okay, you in the front.
It's a very interesting issue 0. You know what I mean? I really want to read 1. And the thing I'm actually kind of curious about is why the Batfleck Batmobile is on the last page.
Because they just want to tease us.
I mean, yeah. It's awesome to see it in a comic book. I thought it was fantastic. I sent you that image.
What's even awesomer is when you drive in the car and you have a long discussion with your children which Batmobile you would want to drive. And then they each pick a different one. We have a discussion of what we would be driving and why. Solomon chose the Tumbler. Sayla chose the Batman Batmobile. And of course I took the Affleck Batman. So could you just imagine that convoy coming down the highway?
I'd say that's very loud and everything is shaking. Like windows and doors are just, you know?
That would be good times. Good times. All right. Well, let's get to a comic that I actually got to read. Thanks, James, because of all the fun that James gets to have, you know, all that reading he gets to do.
Well, I've been reading a lot more on my DC universe, you know. It's all these issues I'm paying for. I'm tracking them on a nice little comic reading challenge on Twitter.
Yeah, but
I'm happy to say I'm up to like 188 issues this year.
If you're not following James on Twitter just to see what he's reading, you're an idiot. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody, but you know, it's kind of cool to see what James is reading. What's James reading today? It's like my
right. So it's books that I keep up, you know, week to week, month to month. But I'm keeping up with definitely like the DC current continuity, as it drops on DC Universe. So it's really awesome. The DC's been pretty cool lately. Just, I think for the fact that, and maybe it's, you know, coming up to these events and stuff, but, since they kind of had come back, everything's more like, you know, where everybody is in their corner of DC and where it is parallel to the other stories, you know, cause we know in past histories that there's just so many books and so many stories that they just take place seemingly randomly at different times. You don't know.
That's how I feel about like all these Batman titles right now. There's like
there's so many.
So many Batman. I'm just like, I don't even care right now. I'm like,
the only Batman I'm reading right now is Batman and Detective Comics. I'm reading a little bit of Urban Legends.
The one that I'm reading is, I got the first issue. I need to pick up issue 2 of like Batman Killing Time, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like that, so.
And of course, I mean, I'm reading Robin and Nightwing.
Oh yeah, I'm reading Nightwing because Tom Taylor. Speaking of Nightwing, we'll get there. But hey, Action Comics 1040. It has your man Mongol on the cover. And he says, next, holding the Superman cape. If James was a Batman villain or a Superman villain, I think he would be Mongol.
I'd be Mongol.
Yeah, what do you think, James?
I if I was going to be a Superman villain, that fits. I accept.
I'd probably end up being like Toyman.
The creepy horrible Toyman, or like the animated series Toyman.
I don't know. I'd probably be like the fat old Winslow shot Toyman, like from Smallville. But this one, okay, so this is the first issue that was drawn by Fred Federici. And it's amazing, his art. Like, I've been looking forward to, like, this art, and it's really, really astounding. And then, not to jump ahead and spoil anything, but when the next issue came out and it wasn't his art, I cried. But this is the World War Saga, Part 5.
Well, all of these issues, they have a lot going on, you know?
Yeah, they do.
I think just through the telling of the story, the way it's developing, because, spoiler alert, we've been loving this run.
Yeah, it's been a great run on Superman.
Yeah. I think he's had to turn in the stories and, get these multiple artists working just to be able to get them all out on time.
Well, what do you call it? The next issue makes sense of why you'd have a different artist. So it wasn't a big deal. But yeah, kind of give us a walkthrough, James, of like this issue. I always do so much talking. It's your turn to talk more.
Well, Clark he's fighting in the arena. He doesn't kill in the arena. We all know this. He bands together. Others kill in the arena. But they are fighting for their lives. They really don't have that choice, and he's died in the arena here, but they bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to break him.
And he's wearing like a very Kingdom Come style, like chest plate. He looks like He-Man, honestly.
Yeah, he very much looks like He-Man. The chest plate was designed by Natalie, Natasha. I forget which one specifically. We'll just go with Natalie. But she actually makes him the chest plate.
Which makes sense.
So the battle is over. Mongol comes out, and two of the Phalosians are saying that they're Warzune, that they've killed in the arena. And Mongol is like, it says Warzune, and Warzune in quotations. He says, "Then slay your brother as I slew mine." And like he is this Mongol. He is definitely. This is a very dark Mongol. So much less than just conquering. He destroys any humanity that anybody who is unlucky enough to be under his heel. So he goes to, they kind of hesitate, and in that case he decides to kill them all. And Superman jumps in between to save the day. Superman's doing pretty good, but he's powerless against Mongol. The star forges that power this war world are red solar radiation, so he's depowered. He doesn't have any of his abilities.
Which sucks for poor Clark.
Yeah. The people are chanting. I forget what
he says. Like, you hear the songs these people sing about you, and you think they belong to you. They don't, and soon they're going to prove it. And then we see Mongol with Keitel. You know, the one with no legs.
I've been saying it in my head as Cheadle.
Okay,
But
works for
that
me.
that may not be right, but
It always works in your head until you have to say it out loud. Then you're like, ah, crap.
it's an alien name, so it could be exactly that.
It's probably like Kevin.
Right.
You disappoint me, Kevin. You would make a martyr of him.
You would make a martyr of him. Yeah. He's begging Mongol to kill Superman. That I think he believes that people are a little less broken down by Mongol than he thinks.
True. And then we get the next page, actually 2 pages, where basically, let's sum it up, is Lila, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or Leah, however you pronounce it. She's alive, and they basically turn Omak to the dark side. Omak is now going to work for the Warzoons in Mongol because him, cannot remember. Omak is there for Lila. And
yeah.
Crypto,
He says that he can bring her back.
Yep.
And that they'll do it if she obeys.
Yeah. And then we get Superman down in like the jail, basically talking to people, the people he saved, the people that think he's stupid. I mean, everyone puts him down in how he doesn't, fight and want change, and he wants there for truth and justice. And they talk about they got a message from Midnighter. And we see that Clark can pick locks with his friends. Do you think he named his hands Truth and Justice? He's like,
yeah.
It's time for you to meet truth and justice.
Yeah, definitely his hands, He's not as much of a kicker as, say,
True.
Batman or something. Yeah, I bet Clark's learning some new skills, new useful skills on War World,
Mm-hmm.
Because Superman's always been the guy to take the hit so nobody else had to, because he can take it, he can withstand it, but he can't do that here, at least not in the same way. But he does put himself in between them all the time. Excuse me. One of the Philosians says, "Why do you talk to children that way? What way? You shouldn't give them hope. It will kill them in the end."
He's like, hope. I am hope, man.
Although Roz learned to survive here, you have nothing to teach her. You should learn from her instead. I won't let them believe that their love for each other makes them weak. That's the brother and sister. They are deep down inside the war world again. They have great worms. As far as I know, the worms have always been here. The stinking gases they expel make the atmosphere breathable.
It's like hanging out with my brother.
Nice.
Oh, huge.
Right. It's interesting how they talk about like the ancient ecosystem
it's interesting
of War World.
Yeah, right.
The way that they've discussed how the planet is layer after layer, but like all these things work in conjunction with each other. Like the giant worms help to create the atmosphere.
The planet, it's interesting because they talk about the planet, how it's been rebuilt, and it makes the planet at one moment feel like the planet's a machine, and then another moment how it's an actual living planet.
Yeah, so, how they go deeper. yeah, they continuously go deeper into the planet. 'Cause here, he says, I've seen this place before. It's a tomb. Not many know about it, and no one knows who built it. But there are stories about the power that's buried here. If the stories are true and you are able to claim that power, you won't need to take down the Star Forges. You'll be stronger than you ever were. He says, this stone, these are veins of Genesis embedded in the stone.
Which is that piece that we go back to, like that was in Superman building up to this, that they fought on Earth and with Atlantis and Arthur and everything, was the pieces of Genesis.
Yeah, that imbued that Atlantean with power and made him like that giant creature and stuff.
Yep.
Genesis, he says that's what we called it on Earth. One of Warworld's warships was fueled by it. It's wildly radioactive and immensely powerful. Last time I touched it, he says, can you hear that? Hear what? There are people down there, a lot of them, and we have to get back to the surface, the cells. And a lot of, and some of Mongol's people are here, specifically define the Notlings, as they call them, these young Phalosians, especially the brother and the sister. The girl has a bit of iron at her wrist. I found them. Her iron goes to me. You won't touch my brother. Have pride, Notlings. He who holds all chains took notice of you. No other Notlings on Warworld can say the same. He wishes to see you both again, though not alive.
That's some harsh conversation. Hey, I want to see you again, just not alive. And then we'll jump over here to Action 1041. That when you open, it starts weeks ago, different artwork. And surprise, this whole book is about Midnighter, because it's called Midnighter's Tale. And what's funny about this book, at first I was a little upset it was all Midnighter, but then I was like, you know what? I'll roll with it. Every time he shows up, people are like, are you Superman? No. You know, we see him fighting. We see Midnighter he's like, it's the Superman. He's like, ugh. And he's just taking people down. So this is kind of like, it's giving us what Midnighter's been up to. Are you Superman truly? The name is Midnighter. Superman and I aren't really talking at the moment. And, he meets some people and he helps them and he cuts the one woman's chains. And, it's like, who are you to break my iron? I blinded a Leonore for one of these. And, he goes on to say, showing off your chain while you tell me how tough you are doesn't land like you think it does. And then they join up with him. And we see they're spray painting the Superman sign or marking it all over the place. We see kind of a cool image of Superman fighting Doomsday in like a suit that looks very, what would you say? Like Godfall mixed with Kingdom Come.
Yeah, something like, yeah.
And they start wearing that same kind of shield that Natasha made for Superman, and Midnighter's wearing like a red cape cloak. My favorite is when he rips the dude's head off and tosses it to the other guy. And like we see inserts of people telling the story of the Superman to like the children. And it's interesting because it's just partnered with images of like classic Superman back when him and John, I think it's from when him and John fought those one creatures, but I can't tell. And then they're like, Midnighter has returned. And he's talking to Byla.
and they're going to take down a Star Forge. And Superman shows up. And then he says, "Blue." We just see Superman's hand. And we hear that OMAC is with the Berserkers. And then it cuts back. And we see Natasha inside her cell. And we see OMAC, who looks like she should be fighting alongside Shao Kahn. And then the last page is Superman, who looks like he's flying a little. And he doesn't have his chest piece, but he's got shield, sword, and there's Midnighter and the Midnighter people with him when it says the next is Superman of World. So it was a cool issue. I mean, I was at first like a little bit like, okay, this is Action Comics. Superman has to be here. Where are you?
Right.
And then he showed up at the end, and I was like, okay. All right, I can roll with that.
Yeah. I mean, because they've shown little bits of Midnighter, you know, but he's been here just as long, and it's nice to see, like, he's been, like, leading the resistance, he's been looking for Apollo, the thing that he's wanting to do, take down the Star Forge, is the one that Apollo is, hooked to, powering, and if he were to take it down, it would, cause large problems, like stabilization of the planet, or at least certain areas.
And he don't care. He's Midnighter.
Yeah, he wants his husband.
And I'm just glad that they're finishing up this Martian Manhunter story in the back, because I haven't been too thrilled about it. Because I've heard Philip Kennedy Johnson talk about writing some stories about Mongol and the other characters and like some backstory type stuff in the backups. So I've really been waiting for them to come out. And now that we're wrapping up this Martian Manhunter, maybe we can finally get those stories. Because I don't mind, backups in the back of books. I think it's actually great. And I just hurt my elbow. But I want an interesting story. So.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it didn't catch me with the first part.
Yep.
I kind of skipped the rest. I've wanted to finish them. I wanted to read them again.
Well, it's like,
So maybe I'll just jump on the DC Universe app and flip to the end, read the last 5 pages.
I mean, do you remember when they did the New 52, the Justice League, the backups were chapter pieces for Shazam?
Yeah.
And then eventually they collected because eventually the Shazam storyline crossed over with the Justice League. And like he actually got a whole book for the conclusion, and then they released all that as a trade, as the Shazam trade for the New 52. So that was cool because it felt like you were building to something and like getting a story. But let's do, what book we should do next?
What's that?
World's Finest. What do you think? Batman, Superman, World's Finest. Because for some reason, a Batman, Superman run can't last more than a few issues. I mean, think about it. We had the Batman, Superman run that restarted when they did like the Dark with the Batman Who Laughs. Or it started. And then then they kind of kept it going and then it stopped. And then we got the really cool, interesting one from Mr. Yang.
The film.
Yeah.
And then the film auteur.
Yeah, and now we have World's Finest. I mean, of course, I am pumped that's written by Mark Waid, don't get me wrong. But it is just sucky that these two characters' books just don't run for very long. But at the same time, it does make it for an interesting kind of... It's almost like each time it's rebooted, it's like a trade. It's like, and you're going to get like 12 issues.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, that issue is upstairs. I don't have that one with me.
What, the World's Finest?
Yeah, it's upstairs.
What the heck, James?
I forgot to go grab it. I forgot it was up there.
All right. Well, I guess I'll have to do all the talking.
I think you're used to it.
I am. I'm going to shut up sometimes. It says Metropolis in the not too distant past. And there's like a plant attacking.
on top of the Daily Planet, and it's Poison Ivy. And Superman shows up, and then Batman bursts on the scene and hits Godzilla with a bat grenade. Little Ultimate Showdown reference, because I rediscovered that song and my kids got a kick out of it, especially Sayla, who now asks for the Godzilla song with Batman in it. That's how she refers to it. But we see Robin. Robin has pants, which is cool. Just green pants. And there's Batman in his gray and blue, which is interesting. So the not too distant past, and I'm trying to remember if we actually get called out which Robin this is. But there's a lot that happens in here because, they're stopping Poison Ivy, but then all of a sudden, Metallo just pops out of nowhere. It's Metallo who looks like Two-Face. And he just starts attacking while Poison Ivy attacks. And it's weird to see Batman in broad daylight. But Superman's all going berserker, crazy. Like, he looks like he's got one eye open, gripping his pillow tight on the next page, while Metallo takes out a syringe with red stuff in it. And he goes, random, unpredictable, each piece differing, morphing, mangling, twisting your body uniquely. Now imagine a dozen pieces, blended into a radioactive cocktail. Red kryptonite, however. They call me the man with the kryptonite heart. And then he stabs Superman in the chest with the cocktail. Batman says, "That scream." And Robin says, "On it." And Robin says, "Get away from my friend." And he takes his bow staff into Metallo's heart. And then Superman screams out. And then we see on top of a building, a figure in shadow with horns. And it says they have no idea what's in store. And then it says, Gotham City, years before the attack. It's Alfred and Batman. This is where Batman should be in the blue, not at the beginning of this book, but whatever. They do change the symbol on his chest to help us know that it's a different time period. Just the bat symbol. Couldn't have just been the whole suit, but whatever. And then we see Metropolis and Superman at the bottom. Now Robin's back to not having pants. Great. I love this. Looking for me, Penguin, and they're like, fire, fire. And they're attacking Batman, but really it's not Batman, it's Superman. While the real Batman rescues Robin. And it's great because we get to see Superman and Batman being buddies. Like we want. And then we go back, and there's Superman screaming in pain as the cocktail pulsates through his system. We see really creepy things where he's seeing through himself. Robin has the vial. It's really action-packed. Robin gets a lot of play. And then Superman starts going like gargoyle. He's turned into a statue. And then, you know who shows up at the end? Because Superman looks like he's seeing Zod. You know who shows up, James?
Yeah, it's the Doom Patrol.
The Doom Patrol. Seriously. The Doom Patrol.
Yeah, Robot Man, Negative Man, Elastic Woman.
Yeah, what's her name? I can't remember her actual name. And Superman thinks he's fighting Zod, thinks he's fighting Lex Luthor in a power suit. He's basically going nuts and psycho. And the negative spirit goes out and helps bring out radiation and takes Superman down. And then it ends with Niles Calder. And Robin says to Batman, "Are you out of your mind?" And that's where the issue ends. I mean, there's a lot in here. There's a lot going on. It's crazy. It's nice to see Mark Waid back to writing, but I feel like we just got dropped. There was no build up of the story. It's just like, here it goes.
And it was insane because I'm trying to figure out, like, it's one of those love-hate things where, like, not too long ago, or not too far in the future, or not too blah, blah, blah. And I'm just kind of like, man, continuity.
Right. Well, I mean, it definitely seems like this is a run that's, not in continuity.
And I'm okay with that. Like, I'm seriously, just like the last one was not.
Yeah, like not like smack dab in the middle of in the timeline right now. Maybe like a continuity at another point in time. But because clearly they even jump back and forth in this just with the memories of Robin, with Robin being in the pants and then not in the pants in the memory.
Amen, brother. Amen. All right, so now it's time to jump to Superman, Son of Kal-El. And this is going to be fun because we have several issues and we have a guest.
Well, the interesting thing about Niles Calder is looks like he's got kryptonite surgical tools in the end of this issue, though.
Yep. He does. That's why Robin's like, are you out of your mind?
Like, yeah, like the a bunch of kryptonite surgical tools. Yeah, that's I'm sure that's not nerve-wracking at all.
So, Superman, Son of Kal-El. We're on number 8, right?
Was it 8 or did we talk?
Did we talk about?
Because that one's the one. Yeah, that one's the one with the Leviathan, the giant.
We talked about 8 then, right?
I think so, where he takes a chunk of the ocean floor and uses it to push against the creature.
Yep. Okay. I just hadn't moved it. I couldn't tell. All right. So, all right, we're good.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain we talked about that one.
So now it comes down to we're actually going to talk about Nightwing number 89, featuring Superman for crossover part 1 of 2. And you know what I love about the cover art for Nightwing 89 and Superman Son of Kal-El number 9 is if you put them together, it makes the symbol. I'm going to do it now. Ready?
Yeah, makes one awesome connected cover.
It has Superman symbol and Nightwing symbol. I'm making sound effects.
Yeah, this was a pretty awesome story.
I like it.
Tom Taylor writes both of them. He's writing the current Nightwing run, and he's also writing Son of Kal-El. We open up in this one, and Batman and Nightwing are searching for John Kent.
And we're in the Rebirth era, which is interesting. Okay, we're in the Rebirth era, but Nightwing's wearing red. And I didn't think Nightwing wore red at the beginning of
Rebirth is still a continuation of the New 52, so this is his New 52 suit.
Right, but I thought when they launched Rebirth, he switched back to the blue. Because remember, he wasn't Nightwing at the end. He got outed in Forever Evil. He went into Spiral.
Right.
And I thought when he came back, he was back to being Nightwing in the blue.
Well, there's probably some kind of skew of the timeline there, since we had
or somebody messed up.
Dark Knight's Metal. And when somebody messed up, or it's kind of that time skew from Dark Knight's Metal where the universe was returned, created, and everything that has happened, so it merged the New 52 and Rebirth into what everything's happened before.
The new 50 rebirth.
I mean, that's kind of skewed the timeline, and it kind of changed the birth of John to begin with. So, I mean, really, yeah, I mean.
We'll go with it.
With the crisis after that, kind of timeline is fluid.
It all matters and nothing matters. That's kind of how I feel sometimes.
Yeah.
It matters when they want it to matter. It doesn't when they don't want it. I love it because John's missing, and it is Nightwing and Batman that find John. It's when he first got his powers and he was lost. And I love, John shoots at him, and then he's hiding in a cave, and a giant bat showed up. And Dick takes his mask off, and he takes Bruce's mask off, and he says, "There's nothing to be scared of. I'm Dick. Your dad and I work together. It's good to meet you, John." And then Bruce is like, "Superman, we found him." And it's the first kind of their meeting, and John's scared, and this is pure Dick Grayson right here. He says, "Hey, John, guess what Batman keeps in his utility belt?" And it's a sucker. And he goes, "Here you go." And then he says, "You want to see me juggle?" And Dick starts juggling some rocks.
Yeah. The first few pages of this issue.
I love it. First of all, I love it because I miss young John. Current John, he's okay. I miss young John.
Yeah, I mean, me too. The first few pages of this issue is really great. Dick is great with children. He says, Batman, he keeps lollipops in his utility belt. Some sensible people have pointed out he keeps his lollipops dangerously close to smoke bombs that are similar shape and size, but he's stubborn. He's juggling, and Batman and Superman have a really nice interaction. You've had to track down your fair share of Robins. He says, "Thank you, Bruce." And he says, "Do you ever stop worrying about them?" Bruce says, "Not for a single second. I don't think any parent does." Alfred says he still sometimes pokes his head in when I'm sleeping to check if I'm breathing. But we can't be there all the time, Clark. I was on another planet. You're Superman. That's going to happen. Eventually, you have to just trust that he'll be okay. You can't be too hard on yourself. I made so many mistakes with Dick, and look how he turned out. John's having a great time, and Superman says, "I'm not sure what worries me more, that you're going to accidentally offer a smoke bomb to a child, or that you're going to throw a lollipop at the Joker and try to vanish." He says, "I'll move them to another pocket."
I would actually love to see that, because I think the Joker would crack up.
Oh, the Joker would crack up.
And
I think it would be just as effective.
Yeah. Then we jump to modern day, and this is what I thought was interesting, where the Arctic Fortress of Solitude, and John puts in a crystal, and it's basically Clark, the AI. Much like Clark talks to Jor-El, he's talking to a AI holograph of Clark. And he's talking about, the saving the city and the everything that happened. And you know what? I'm sorry, this isn't what I was hoping for. This is, if I can't have the real thing, pulls out the crystal. He says, "I think I prefer some solitude." And then we're in Bloodhaven. And then I love this. "Dick, there's a robot petting our dog." He chucks one of his sticks. It's is it Kellex?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was Kellex or those. Yeah. "Mr. Grayson, you drop this. Fast is my direction."
Yeah.
Kellex, you're Superman's robot, right? And he basically tells
Kal-El asked me to seek you out if his son needed you. Excuse me. And I love it. Barbara's wearing a Teen Titans Go shirt.
And Dick Grayson stands up and he's wearing Batman pajama pants.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And he's like, Clark asked me to check in on John. I should have already done it. And then in Metropolis, we see a dude who's playing around saying, I'm invulnerable. And these three people come in and say, we know that you were a Titan, and we know that you still have to breathe. And it says, the rising has begun, and they push him under the water. And that's all we see. And then we see John and Jay. That Jay's got to go work at the Truth. And it's interesting because it's a different artist drawing this book, and Jay just looks different the way they draw him here. And they're going to the Truth, and they're gonna put masks on, and that's what I think is funny. And they show up, and there's a meeting, and it's Dick Grayson on the boat. And Jay's wearing his weird mask thingy, and John just has a domino mask on. Where he looks like Dick Grayson. And then my favorite part is when Dick just kind of walks away slowly and says, Superman, I know you can hear me. Meet me at the crime scene.
Yeah. How did you know it was me? I'm a pretty good detective, and I've spent a lot of time with people in masks.
And I like them working together. It's interesting because Dick Grayson has another one of those ambiguous ages where you're never sure how old he is.
Right.
And I like it because he's asking John, like, what do you see? Or more importantly, what don't you see? Can you see any footprints other than risks? Can you see any evidence of anyone else on the ground? And he's getting John to think differently. And he calls an oracle. And they find out that risk wasn't the only. John's like, I heard. Someone is murdering superpowered people. Someone's murdering superpowered people that we've never heard of. It's even better. And he says they didn't touch the ground. There's a trail, a faint, strange energy leading through the air. Where does it lead? Where almost everything bad leads in Metropolis.
LexCorp. Leads to LexCorp.
World's
of course it does, right?
Sons. Yes, it does. Because of course it does. Because Lex Luthor is crooked. Because Lex is always into something.
Right.
So now we have officially part 2, which is Superman, Son of Kal-El, number 9.
Number 9. Nightwing is... So basically Nightwing is out like day after day, night after night, alone. They stopped everybody from operating alone, so that way, nobody would be an easy target. But Nightwing is out there doing his thing alone, in hopes of drawing them out. He draws out 3 characters. I like his reply here. He says, you can't run. And Nightwing says, I really can. Half this job is cardio.
I love that he's fun. And I love the narration, though. It says, Dick Grayson, my dad gave him the name Nightwing. And I love the way they do Nightwing, where like you have one panel with like the same images, but Dick moving inside of them.
so we really see the athleticism.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool thing they do with Nightwing because, I mean, that's his big that's his big selling point there.
I love this. They're like, goodbye, Nightwing. Want to watch him hit the ground. I just hear them speaking German like Hans Gruber, like some 80s villain.
I say they're speaking German, or they have a German accent, a Russian accent, or maybe a Swedish accent. That guy with the glasses and the long hair, I could see that.
Yeah. What was it? Crap. Was it Umbrella Academy season 2 where they had the Swedish villains and they were listening to Adele's Hello in Swedish? I can't remember. So they throw Nightwing off, and then we see who comes flying up? Superman. And can we just say how chill Nightwing looks? And we see that he has treads of his symbol on the bottom of his shoe. That's BA. I want my name on the bottom of my shoe. And then we have Professor X looking dude, President Bendix. Bendix. Not Bendis.
Yeah, what's Superman doing there? I don't know, President Bendix. Our satellite tracked him leaving an hour ago. You flew out of the country. Sure, but the world's round, so I just kept flying and ended up back here.
Nightwing thought you might be spying on me. Shouldn't you be saving him? Nah.
He doesn't need saving. And then Nightwing's got a little squirrel suit.
They seem pretty angry. I like how they're like trying to beat on him the way it's drawn. And he's like, just chill. Not sure I'm really pulling my weight with this team up.
Yeah. Hey, being bait was an integral part of the team up, but feel free to join in.
And then my next is my favorite, where Hans Gruber here has his sunglasses headbutts Superman, and the Nightwing's like, "Ouch! Who's stupid enough to headbutt Superman?"
Guy's got a bloody nose. Looks like he's about to pass out. Just pull out.
I'm like, I'm surprised he's even okay with that. I'm surprised he's not dead with concussion and a caved-in face.
And this is another meta part too. Something about these keeps happening. Well, it's written that way, but LexCorp, yeah, they're getting on an elevator going down. There's a massive, deep complex beneath the building, lead-lined. Where does Luthor even get the contractors for a job like that? Is there a specific construction company that's always on call for evil renovations?
Yes.
He says, we could ask this guy, but I mean, he headbutted Superman, so clearly he's not the cleverest.
What I love about this issue is it's still Tom Taylor, but this issue just seems so much more fun. I mean, it's definitely them working together more, but it just reads great.
Well, I think the fact that the Superman book has been getting very heavy. There's been a lot of twisting of everything that he's been doing to try and make it seem like he's trying to discredit Superman. And part of that is the way that he's feeling, the way he's feeling at the beginning of part 1 of this story. He doesn't have his dad to talk to. He's kind of just getting lost in his own solitude, getting lost in his own head. And Nightwing is here to, help bring him back to Earth, bring him back to who he was and teach him something and cheer him up.
It's true.
But they have one of Bendix's assets, and he says, "Damn it, terminate." Sir, he's a valuable asset. He was an asset. Now he's in their hands. He's a liability. Give me a speech control and start the countdown. Maximum blast. You're not Superman. You're a child in your father's clothes. You can't protect them. You can't stop the rising. You're already dead. You just don't know it yet. And then John sees something in his head transmitting, and then He says, I can see it trigger in his brain, see it start to expand in slow motion, and something in his eyes. And something's changed in his eyes. Superman, with a question mark. It's like another person is looking at me.
Are you okay?
And then and then the guy's gone.
You shielded me from the blast. Are you okay?
There's nothing he can do for him. He blows up.
Nightwing's like, oh, kid. And then Nightwing just gives him a hug. I mean,
and
that's heavy.
You know, Nightwing's stuff. There just to...
For poor John.
Nightwing's there. He's there to console him. With John, he gives him a hug because part of the thing was any loss of life is
they're drinking
is pretty much unacceptable to him.
Wonder,
one
Zach
of the
Finn,
things
if you're listening, do you have
talked about with his AI dad was
because you
how.
And it says, Lois, I didn't come to Metropolis for John. I recently invested in the truth. Why? I'm trying to change
how numbers aren't lives.
About someone fighting the most destructive lies, but the truth is harder to believe when it's anonymous. Say whatever you have to say. I'd like you to be the face of the truth. You're a legend. You don't have to give me an answer. Just think about it. Tea. Hot beverage. It's so crazy to me, though. I do want to throw this out there real quick. How Alfred is still dead. They haven't retconned that and brought him back. And it's weird. I miss Alfred. So, but you can tell that Dick is still doing what he can for Alfred and Alfred's shadow. And they're talking. And he says, I could juggle for you a day. Like I did that day. And John's like, I mean, it was very effective when I was 9. Too bad Dick didn't pull out a lollipop. And he asks about what he thinks his dad would have done. And, Bruce, excuse me, Dick talks about how he had to step in for Bruce and be Batman, how that wasn't him. And, he talks about how I've experienced what that's like lately. I put myself out there as Dick Grayson. I know it was the right thing to do, but part of me wish I never did. And I do love the fact that he's wearing a approved by the authority of the Comics Code shirt. I'm loving Dick Grayson's wardrobe. And he asks if he ever felt he belonged as Batman. And Dick said, hell no. Turns out I do have a superpower and it enhances imposter syndrome. And John says, you're my kind of hero. When I was a kid, you were the superhero who swooped in and found me when I was lost and scared. I haven't told anyone this, not my mom, not my dad, not Damien, but I spent 5 years trapped in prison on another Earth, 11 years old to 16. The whole time I was there, I just kept hoping somehow you'd find me again. That Nightwing would walk in with a smile and a lollipop. I know it's stupid. And he says, it's not stupid. I'm sorry I didn't find you, John, but I'm here now. We have a lot in common. He says, I don't know if you're up for a mentor, but he says, yes, please. And then Jay comes running in and through the wall. He says,
it's okay.
Yeah. He says, is it a guy that just walked through your wall? It's okay, Mom. And then Lois pops in with like the craziest, biggest, weirdest gun I've ever seen. And Jay's like, I'm the editor of The Truth. Seriously? And then they have basically the image that makes John look like he blew up the guy. He says, I got your back, don't worry. You're not trapped, you're not alone anymore. And he hands him a lollipop. And it just proves that no matter how old you are, candy makes things
Gotta bring chocolate home.
Why do you think we give candy to our women? On Valentine's Day or just for when we're randomly trying to get them to leave us alone and forget
Did
us.
you,
Here, baby, I
I
bought
cut
you this
out there
candy
for a
bar. I was
second. Did
thinking
you
about
bring
you.
up
Here's
the
some
tea
chocolate.
line?
Yeah. I'm glad I talked about how it's interesting how Alfred's still dead.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Alfred
they've
believed
kept
tea
that.
could pretty much
I
cure
mean, it
everything.
sucks, but
It's
it's
not
good at the
medically
same time.
accurate. It's just British.
You were like, oh, we'll bring him back.
I laughed pretty hard at that line.
It's just Alfred.
Yeah.
It's just
And it's pretty
Alfred.
cool. Lois
We love
joins
Alfred.
the truth. She says, yeah, I'm in. The truth is out there.
Every time I hear the truth, I just want like the truth. I don't know why. It just sounds funny. Excuse me. After a day of yelling at my children, and it comes time to podcasting, finally, I'm just all coughs. But hey, Superman Son of Kal-El, number 10. We're wrapping up this section of catching up on comics. We have a few more to do, but we're wrapping this up part up here. And we're at the Truth headquarters in Hops Bay Metropolis, where Jay and company are typing away. And Lex is giving a speech that's basically condemning the actions of Superman for, one, his saving of the people of the monster in what happened in Metropolis, twisting the facts on how the Gamora people were there to and actually try to cause problems, and Superman, of course, does the right thing, broadcasting around the world. Meanwhile, John's out there actually saving people.
Yeah.
While Lex is spreading his lies.
Explosive cyclogenesis.
Dublin.
Meteorologists call it a weather bomb.
And the people are actually afraid of him. Yeah, and they're afraid of him. And the little girl, of course, is the one. John shows up and is trying to help them. And I love this because it says, I have to take out all the chunks that are falling. Then he catches the bomb and he flies off. He says, I've got it. I understand. You're just trying to protect. You're just trying to be protective. Get out of here. And the little girl's like, I believe you, Superman. He says, thanks, Kara. Put in a good word for me with your dad. Back at Bloodhaven, we get Dick again with Barbara. It is interesting as we have a new artist on this book compared to the last book. So it kind of throws me off a little. I like the last artist. This one's not bad, though. And I love when he calls Superman. Hello? Hey, it's Nightwing. What are you up to? Carrying a 390-foot long steel spike. That's unexpected. Yeah, it probably was come about I'm getting ready to joust it with a giant. And they tell him he needs to watch what's going on TV. And boom. Lex Luthor's like, how can we possibly trust the motivations of a son of an alien and a what, Lex? And there's Lois Lane. And there's Mercy Graves. They're like, it's okay. She's like, my son saw a device.
Yeah, what's really cool
head.
here, he's like, does Superman need to send his mother to defend him?
And
she says, John's where he needs to be. John's where people need him to be. He has far more important things to do than acknowledge the lies of a small man who has to stand in front of a big building.
And then we have the people at the Truth who say, we need to talk because government agents won't put bombs in our head. And he said, did anyone else see this device in the man's head? Yes, another superhero was with him. Nightwing was a witness and spoke on the record. Lex, of course, says, oh, the vigilante terrorist from Bloodhaven? Actually, I thought we'd rely on your word, Lex. Let's go. And then we have an ad. Speak your truth. And Lois Lane pulls out
a golden lasso. And they're like, is that? Yep, Wonder Woman's lasso of truth. I think Lois Lane is my new hero. Who's she reporting for? And Jay's like, I think she's reporting for us. Seriously, Lois Lane is working for the truth. And we see John watching on a screen. And Lois, if you have nothing to hide, then I'm sure you wouldn't mind answering some questions in front of the whole world, Luthor. We can start simple. Just reach out and tell me, is President Bendix trying to frame my son for murder? And Luthor is like, I'm not going to play along with this little stunt of yours, Lois Lane. And he walks away. She's like, oh, you're leaving? This is not a great look, Lex. Well, I guess this is my
Right?
podium now, and any questions you'd like me to answer far too honestly. And then this idiot comes out trying to be all tough like, you've overstepped, Miss Lane. You should know I'm not lying when I say this is a very bad idea. We turn the page. And boom, there's John holding the dude. Whoosh. And he's like, if you want to try something, I will be quite happily embarrass both of you in front of all these cameras.
It's like the most powerful being on the planet.
Don't mess with the dude's mom.
I'm sure she didn't show up there with no, with nobody knowing she was going to be there.
Yeah. And then the next part changes tonally. We find out that it wasn't.
Yeah, I like that. But you said, what did I say?
Just some rope
you
and she painted it gold.
Never said anything. You never claimed it was the lasso of truth.
She says, nope. She said, he says, Lex Luthor is one of the smartest people on the planet. Yeah. How did that go for him today? And then, let's turn the page. We have Jay and John talking about, have they talked to Lois? Nope. And then they're holding hands. Lois comes out and she says, John, I love
you thought Dad was two different people for a while.
She's like, I suspected. I'm pretty intuitive.
And I've won.
Yeah. And I've won Pulitzer since then. We better get back in there before this gets awkward for Jay. She already knew. She suspected.
Yeah. What's really good here is you're not supposed to just show up in our house. I know. I'm sorry, but I couldn't risk being seen. I didn't see you. I didn't hear you. How? He's Batman. That is no way a satisfactory answer to my question. Right?
Because I'm Batman. Who's under the mask? Batman. He says the Gamoran ambassador refused to speak to President Bendix scares him more than I do. It's time to get you out, Lois Lane. John, your grandparents are already there. Let's go. Jay is welcome too. No, just the two of you. It's okay. You'll just have to be the one to visit. And I'll see you at work. All right, they're getting on the plane. And then, I know who he is, says Batman. I know where he comes from, and I know who he's working for. The last line, you cannot trust Jay Nakamura. Mic drop. I told you from the beginning, I didn't trust Jay. Okay? And when Batman says you can't trust him, something's up. So, Superman Son of Kal number 10 just came out this week. So we're kind of caught up here. We got a few more books and stories to kind of catch up on. And we're going to put a pin in it for the moment.
How dare you?
For the things that be. And I think I just ripped my plastic on my comic books. That sucks. I know, right? Sucks. But I just want to say thank you for listening. This was the Krypton Report, part of Press Play Podcast Network. Check out all the other podcasts available on the network. And if you want to help Krypton from exploding, join our Patreon club. It's only $1 a month. That's all we ask. I'm not one of those Patreons that say, hey, $33 a month, or, $50 a month, or $5 a month, or $10 a month, or anything. I'm saying $1. And we provide several different kinds of shows for $1 each month on our Patreon. So check it out. You never know what you're going to get. I want to thank our patrons who do participate and donate. It's a great service to help us. And remember,
Look up in the sky.
We just want to say, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please check out other podcasts on the Press Play Podcast Network. But also, if you love Superman and DC Comics, please listen to the following: The Last Sons of Krypton, Superman the Animated Podcast, Holy Batcast, The Geek of Steel, Digging for Kryptonite, The Aspiring Kryptonian, The All-Star Superfan Podcast, and Superboy the Legacy Podcast. Enjoy.